power of withdrawal, recognizing your worth at the end of the day, what's left. Tiredness, frustration, and a sense of emptiness. You can't explain it, but I'll tell you why. It's because you've been too available for people who don't deserve even a second of your silence. You've been conditioned to always be present. To say yes when you feel like saying no. To be emotionally available at all times. But here's the catch. Being constantly available doesn't make you valuable. It traps you, drains you, and leaves you exhausted. But what if there's a way to break free from this cycle? What if the key to finding your inner peace and reclaiming your energy lies in one simple yet profound change? What would happen if you stopped being available? This video isn't about turning your back on the world. It's about choosing yourself. It's about learning the core principle Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic, and complete. This journey begins when you understand that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 arguments. Jung emphasized that withdrawal, when it comes from awareness, is an act of immense power, not weakness. It's not about escaping. It's about choosing your presence carefully, making the conscious decision to protect your peace. So let me ask you, looking straight into your eyes, how long will you allow yourself to be controlled by the emotions of others? How long will you react like a puppet every time someone pushes your buttons? Maybe, just maybe, it's time to cut those strings. It's time to withdraw and become a mystery. When you stop being available, everything changes. The illusion of availability, you've been conditioned since childhood to always be present, to respond quickly, to please, to say yes, even when every part of you wants to say no. Your worth, your value, has been tied to how available you are to others. And that belief has kept you trapped in a cycle of emotional exhaustion. We live in a society that glorifies availability. We see it in our relationships, our jobs, and even our social media presence. The more you show up, the more valuable you're perceived, right? Well, here's a truth that perhaps no one has told you so clearly. Being constantly available is not a virtue. It's a prison. As long as you continue to think you need to be accessible to everyone, all the time, emotionally or otherwise, you will be drained, manipulated, and ultimately forgotten as soon as you're no longer useful.
Let me explain.
People begin to use you as an emotional emergency button, pressing it whenever they need attention, relief, or validation, only to put you back on the shelf when they're done. You don't realize this, but it's happening all around you. The problem with being too available is that people will only value you based on what you give them. They don't care about your boundaries, your exhaustion, or your emotional well-being. What they care about is getting their needs met, and when you're constantly available, you're not seen as a person, but as a tool they can use whenever they want. You see, it's a common illusion that being present for everyone will eventually make someone be there for you in return. But it doesn't work that way. It's just a trap. Carl Jung talked about the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted, loved, or recognized by others. This mask is what keeps you overly available. You tell yourself it's okay when you're suffocating. You reply to messages immediately, even when you're exhausted. You justify your actions, explain yourself, and defend yourself as if you owe something to the world. But here's the truth. The more you make yourself available to others, the more you lose yourself. Being available all the time is a subtle form of self-abandonment. It's a disguised way of seeking approval, avoiding rejection, and trying to control the image others have of you. And this control comes at a cost. The price is your peace. You are distributing your vital energy as if it were infinite, when in reality, it's very limited. The cost of constant availability? People who want you available all the time, Don T, actually want you, they want what you provide. Validation, company, emotional comfort. But here's the kicker. When you change, when you set a boundary, when you refuse to react, those same people get angry. They accuse you of being weird, of changing. Why? Because when you stop being available for them, you stop being functional for them. And that's when they start to lose their grip on you. The more available you are, the less value people give you. What is too abundant becomes something they take for granted. No one respects what they don't have to earn. No one values what is always available. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how people only seem to appreciate your presence when it's scarce? When you withdraw, even for a short period, they suddenly realize your value. They realize they can't just take from you without consequences. That is the first step to reclaiming your power. So stop for a moment and think. Who truly deserves your time? Who deserves your attention, your presence, your listening ear? Or better yet, who deserves your absence? But before you answer that question, we need to understand one critical thing. Why do we react so much? Why do we give in so easily? What's behind this almost automatic desire to respond, justify, and please others?
Damn.
The answer lies in what Carl Jung called psychic energy. And that's exactly what we'll talk about in the next part, understanding psychic energy. Jung believed that our mind isn't just a machine that reacts to external stimuli, it's an energy system. Every thought, every emotion, and every action consumes a part of that energy. The question is, are you choosing where your energy goes, or are you letting the world decide for you? Every time you react impulsively, whether it's defending yourself against a criticism that doesn't deserve your attention, responding to a provocation just to prove you're right, or engaging in useless discussions, you are wasting precious psychic energy. You're spending your inner strength on things that don't nourish you. And the worst part, that which you resist persists. The more you react to every little thing, the more you bind yourself to it. People who live emotionally drained are not weak. They are misdirected. And do you know what happens to someone who lives in a constant state of exhaustion? They become vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you become easy prey for those who want to manipulate you, take advantage of your energy, and use you for their own benefit. Jung said that a healthy psyche knows how to keep energy within the system. It knows how to say no without guilt, how to remain silent without feeling cowardly, and how to observe before acting. True power doesn't lie in reacting. It lies in choosing when and how to act. The energy you don't protect, how your reactions drain you. You think you're just defending yourself, just proving a point? But every time you react, you're giving away your power. And the worst part, you're doing it without even realizing it. It's easy to think that reacting to every situation is a way of maintaining control. After all, you want to protect yourself, right? You want to prove you're right, defend your boundaries, and make sure no one takes advantage of you. But here's the reality. Every reaction you have is a drain on your energy. What if the key to true emotional power lies in not reacting at all? Imagine the freedom that comes with choosing when and how to act. What if you could master this skill? What would your life look like? Psychic energy. The silent drain. Carl Jung believed the mind operates as an energy system. Every emotion, thought, and action you have uses up a portion of your energy. But here's the question. Are you consciously choosing where your energy goes? Or is the world dictating it for you? Every time you react impulsively to something that doesn't deserve your attention, you waste psychic energy. Whether it's defending yourself against an insult, proving you're right in a pointless argument, or engaging in meaningless debates, you're spending your precious inner strength on things that don't serve you. And worse, the more you react, the more you bind yourself to the situation. It's the more energy you give away, the less you have for yourself. Jung wasn't wrong when he said that what you resist persists. The more you engage with negative emotions, the stronger they grow, and the more they control you. You see, people who live emotionally drained aren't weak, they're misdirected. They pour their energy into situations and people who aren't worth it, leaving them vulnerable and easily manipulated. They become emotional sponges, soaking up negativity, but never replenishing their own reserves. The hidden danger of impulsive reactions, let us get this straight. Emotional reactivity isn't a sign of strength, it's a sign of vulnerability. When you react impulsively, you are unknowingly giving away your power to others. You let them dictate your emotional state. You let them decide what triggers you. And worst of all, you let them control how much energy you give them. Think about it. Every time you react emotionally, whether you respond to criticism, react to drama, or feel the need to explain yourself, you're draining your energy. You're expending valuable psychic energy that could be used for something far more meaningful. So ask yourself, how many times have you reacted to situations or people that didn't deserve your energy? How many times have you wasted hours defending yourself only to feel more exhausted and drained? The key is understanding how much energy you're wasting every time you engage with negativity. When you fight, react, and give in to every external trigger, you're handing over your control end, your energy on a silver platter. Recognizing the patterns of energy drain, the truth is, many of us don't realize just how much we being drained until we completely exhausted. The more reactive you are, the less energy you have for yourself. This depletion isn't just physical, it's psychological. You begin to lose your sense of self. You become a collection of reactions, trying to meet the emotional needs of everyone around you, but leaving yourself empty. Take a moment to reflect. How often do you find yourself fighting for attention? How often do you get caught up in situations that leave you feeling worse, not better? If you're emotionally drained, it's because you've allowed your energy to be scattered, reacting to everything around you instead of taking control of it. Jung taught that psychic energy is a finite resource and that it should be used wisely. Every time you engage in negative emotional cycles, you're draining yourself. And in turn, you're becoming more vulnerable to manipulation. Breaking the cycle of exhaustion. The first step in breaking this cycle is observing your own behavior. You have to become aware of the patterns that drain you. What makes you react automatically? What triggers your emotional responses? The moment you identify these triggers, you'll see where your energy is being lost. Once you can observe these patterns, you'll begin to notice a shift. Instead of reacting, you'll have the power to pause, to breathe, and to choose how and when to act. Jung's concept of individuation requires you to withdraw from emotional triggers, to become more selective about what demands your energy. This is the first step toward gaining true emotional sovereignty. Jung said, "True power is not in reacting. It is in choosing when and how to act." And that's exactly what you need to learn to do. Choosing to not react immediately gives you back your power. Instead of becoming a puppet to your emotional responses, you take control of your energy. Why you can't afford to be emotionally reactive. The more you react, the more you get trapped in a loop. Every time you react emotionally, you're reinforcing that pattern. You're telling yourself that you can't control your emotions, that the external world dictates how you feel. This lack of emotional control makes you vulnerable, leaving you open to exploitation by people who sense that you, Dante, know how to protect your energy. When you stop reacting, you begin to take ownership of your own emotional state. You stop giving people the power to control how you feel. You stop being a sponge, absorbing everything around you. And that's when you regain your strength. The key to emotional mastery. Mastering your energy doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means being strategic. It means understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult is worth defending, and not every conversation is worth engaging in. Emotional sovereignty comes from knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to act and when to wait. It's about being able to choose your battles and preserve your energy for the things that truly matter. This is only the beginning. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how your reactions are tied to psychic energy and why it's crucial to stop allowing others to drain you. Get ready for a deeper understanding of how emotional control leads to true freedom. Breaking free from energy drainers. Recognizing manipulation. You think you're in control, but the truth is darker than you realize. Most of your emotional responses are programmed by others, and they manipulate you without you even noticing. Do you feel like you're always reacting to the world around you? Like your emotions are on a constant roller coaster, controlled by external forces? What if I told you that most of your emotional responses are manipulated by others? What if your reactions weren't even your own, but the result of silent manipulation? The truth is, there's a psychological mechanism at play, and understanding it will change everything you thought you knew about yourself. The silent manipulation. Most of us go through life believing that our emotional responses are conscious choices. We think that we react to situations because we want to, or because they deserve it. But in reality, what's happening is much more insidious. You're being manipulated, and you don't even realize it. Carl Jung referred to this phenomenon as projection, the psychological mechanism through which people project their unconscious thoughts, fears, and emotions onto others. What does this mean for you? It means that the emotional responses you think are your own aren't necessarily yours at all. You know those people who only seem to reach out to you when they need something? Or those friends who call you only when they're in crisis? They're not relating to you, they're relating to the role you play for them. Same goes for those partners who rely on you to save the day every time something goes wrong. Why do you let this happen? Because you've been conditioned to play this role, and deep down you're afraid of disappointing them, of not being loved, or even of being abandoned. Breaking the illusion of control. When you stop reacting, you begin to see the truth of these dynamics. You no longer serve as a convenient emotional mirror for others. You stop being the person they can manipulate with their emotions. That's when the game starts to break down. People who depend on you for emotional validation, for attention, or rescue, these are the ones who will try to guilt you when you change. They'll accuse you of being selfish, of not caring. But the truth is, they don't want you. They want the role you play in their lives. Your unavailability shakes them because it forces them to confront themselves. They no longer have you to project their insecurities onto, and that is a threat to their emotional control over you. Jung said that a healthy psyche knows how to keep energy within the system. It knows how to protect itself from manipulation by recognizing when others are trying to feed off your energy. And once you start saying no, once you start withdrawing, those people don't know what to do with you anymore. The energy drain of emotional dependence, we've all been there. People who demand your time, your attention, your energy, but when you need them, they're nowhere to be found. The moment you stop responding to their emotional needs, they get angry, upset, or hurt. Why? Because now you've disrupted their comfort zone. You've stopped being their emotional safety net. You've stopped being available to feed their emotional drama. Here's the truth. When people are used to you being available, they stop seeing you as a person. They start to see you as a tool they can use to solve their problems, a means to their emotional ends. But when you change, when you set a boundary and withdraw, they no longer have access to your emotional energy. And that's when the manipulation begins to unravel. They no longer have a grip on you. They become unsettled. And in that discomfort, they might lash out, criticize you, or even attack you. But that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of their dependence on you. The price of emotional availability, the price of always being available to others, is that you lose yourself. You lose your ability to be selective about where you invest your energy. You lose your sense of peace because you're constantly serving others' emotional needs. Emotional manipulators know how to take advantage of your availability. They know when you're vulnerable, when you're giving too much of yourself away. They trigger you, pushing your buttons until you react, and that's exactly what they want. They want you to keep reacting, to keep giving, so they can feed off your energy. When you stop reacting, when you start choosing when and how to engage, you break free from their control. Stop being a blank canvas for their projections. Start to redefine your relationships on your own terms. But here's where it gets tricky. People who have relied on you want tea like this change. They will resist it. They'll accuse you of being selfish, distant, or uncaring. But the truth is, this is a sign of growth. When you start protecting your energy, you are creating space for healthier relationships. For people who value you not for what you can give them, but for who you are. Understanding the cost of emotional independence. When you stop being available for everyone and everything, you'll face resistance. People who only valued you for the role you played will start distancing themselves from you. They will criticize you, saying you've changed. But the truth is, you have changed to become more selective, or protective of your energy, and more discerning about who deserves your time. This is where the discomfort lies. You'll feel guilty at first. You'll think you're being harsh, selfish, or unkind. But this is the deconstruction process. You've spent your entire life being conditioned to put others first. It's only natural that change causes discomfort not only for you, but for everyone who benefited from your old ways. Conscious unavailability is the foundation of self-determination. When you say no to the world, you are saying yes to yourself. You are reaffirming that your peace, your energy, your well-being are far more important than maintaining unhealthy connections. What happens next? So now you're asking yourself, what comes after this withdrawal? After you stop being available, after you start protecting your energy, what does your life look like? The truth is, it won't be easy at first. There will be a period of loneliness, isolation, and confusion. But this is where the real transformation happens. This is when you start to reconnect with your true self. It's when you start shaping your reality from within, no longer controlled by the demands of others. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how your emotional withdrawal leads to empowerment, and how you can use your newfound energy to create a life that aligns with your true essence. The rebirth of power. Embracing silence and sovereignty, you've felt the discomfort of being misunderstood, rejected, and even hated. But here's the truth. This is where your power is born. The moment you stop being available, you reclaim your life. What if I told you that your greatest strength comes not from reacting, not from defending yourself, but from choosing to withdraw? What if the path to true freedom and power lies in being misunderstood and rejected by those who never truly valued you? In this final part, I'll reveal the profound transformation that happens when you embrace silence and emotional sovereignty. The world may not understand, but you will become stronger than ever before. The power of silence. Carl Jung understood that the process of individuation, becoming your true, authentic self, requires isolation, but not the kind of isolation that leads to depression or withdrawal from the world. It's the sacred isolation that comes when you step back from the noise of others and reconnect with your own soul. This is the hardest part of the journey, and it's where true transformation happens. When you stop being available, you enter the silence. At first, it's uncomfortable. You'll feel the weight of your choices. You'll wonder if you've made the right decision. You'll question yourself and wonder if you're being too harsh. You'll feel the loneliness that comes with setting boundaries. But this silence is not empty. It's fertile. It's the beginning of inner transformation. In that silence, you begin to hear your own voice, a voice that's been drowned out by the noise of external demands, emotional manipulation, and the constant need to please others. The silence you experience when you withdraw from emotional availability isn't just the absence of noise. It's an amplification of your presence. It's a moment where you begin to rebuild yourself, where you stop being defined by others' expectations and start shaping your own reality. It's a discomfort of unavailability. But here's the painful truth. This transformation will make others uncomfortable. When you start saying no, when you stop responding to every demand, people who have relied on your availability will get upset. They will accuse you of being selfish, cold, and distant. But this is the discomfort of growth. It's the discomfort of breaking free from the emotional chaos that others have created around you. Jung taught that the process of individuation requires distancing yourself from the collective, from the expectations and projections that others place on you. And when you withdraw, when you stop feeding their emotional drama, you force them to confront their own issues. This is when their projections begin to break down. You become a mirror for them to see their own shadow, the parts of themselves they've been avoiding. And that, my friend, is unsettling. The emotional price of change. As you step into your own power, you'll notice a shift. People who once depended on you will start to distance themselves, and they won't understand why. They won't know what to do with you because you no longer fit the role they created for you. This is the ultimate test of your transformation. Can you handle the discomfort of being misunderstood? The hardest part of this process is not the silence, not the distance, but the emotional attacks that come from those who no longer have access to your energy. When you stop reacting, you stop playing their game. And this disrupts everything. You no longer fit into the narrative they've built around you, and that's a powerful thing. Your silence, your unavailability will expose the truth. Those who depended on your energy will show their true colors. Some will lash out. Some will accuse you of abandoning them. Others might even attack your character. But these attacks aren't about you, they're about their inability to control you anymore. The emergence of true power comes from within, not from external validation. When you stop reacting to the world, you begin to create your own reality. The people who are uncomfortable with your absence reveal just how much they depended on your imbalance to maintain their own control, and that's liberating. By becoming unavailable, you reclaim control over your energy, your time, and your peace. You stop being defined by others' needs. You stop being the emotional emergency button for everyone who demands your attention. And in that space, you begin to reconnect with your essence. Jung said, "We do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is the darkness you must confront. The emotional manipulation, the cycles of self-sabotage, the constant need to please others. When you withdraw, when you stop feeding these dynamics, you begin to make your own darkness conscious. And that is where real power begins. The transformation of self-love. When you embrace silence, when you choose not to explain yourself, not to justify your absence, you're doing something profound. You are practicing self-love. True self-love doesn't mean being available to everyone at all times. It means choosing yourself, even when it costs you relationships or approval from others. True self-love begins when you choose your peace over external validation. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop playing into someone else's narrative. You start living on your own terms. And that when people begin to respect you not because you retrying to earn their respect, but because you've stopped trying to be available to them. You've stopped being the emotional crutch they've always relied on. This is the paradox of individuation. When you stop being available, you become more valuable. You become rare. You become unforgettable. A new beginning, but be prepared. Not everyone will understand. You will lose people. You will lose places. But you will find yourself. You will find your true self, free from the expectations, the demands, and the projections of others. You will begin to shape your reality from within, and in that process, you'll become whole. Jung said that the journey of individuation requires you to disidentify from the mask and to walk alone for a while. But that loneliness is not a curse, it's a rebirth. It's a journey toward true freedom. This is what happens when you stop being available. You become whole. So ask yourself, are you ready to be misunderstood, rejected, or even hated in the name of your inner freedom? Are you willing to pay the price for being your true self? The final step now, as you reflect on this journey of transformation, remember this. Being unavailable is not about cutting people off or being cold. It's about choosing yourself, your peace, and your energy. It's about no longer giving your power away to others who don't appreciate it. If you've made it this far, it's because a part of you is already ready for this change. Part of you understands that true self-love begins when you choose yourself, even if it means being alone for a while. And when you stop being available for the wrong people, you make room for the right people, those who respect you, those who value you, and those who will never take you for granted again.